This is because of you. It wasn't because of me.
Trying to call
I think it's
out
because
to
of you going home.
Okay, we're back with UNINews talking about Todd Chrisley's lawsuit against Katie. She's filed a motion to dismiss. It starts off saying that he is a national personality, broadcaster, real estate mogul. Essentially, let's get through this garbage. He's a public figure. It says that Katie is a YouTuber, a journalist, our favorite journalist, focusing on celebrity news, entertainment stories. Now, the Twitterverse is going nutso over the fact that she called herself a journalist, because back during the Toddy case, she didn't. Winner, loser, draw. Now we've got the defendant is a YouTuber and reported on over the last 3 years, blah, blah, blah. This is boring. I just want it over. Chrisley admits in the complaint his daughter, Lindsay, gave a nationally televised interview on the talk show Dr. Phil, which we've actually looked at parts of it, recounting her experience of being threatened by her father with the exposure of a boo-boo-doo-doo-woo-woo tape, which she was featured, as well as nude boo-boo-doo-doo-woo-woo photos, if she didn't provide testimony in a criminal case stating that she had an affair with the state official for the purposes of influencing the investigation against Chrisley. Wow! Say that 3 times fast, boo-boo-doo-doo-woo-woo. The police report was filed. There was a police report filed. They called to this police report, and they actually pull a small section from it, which I think kind of like, yeah, no, it kind of matters here, because this is the stuff we were saying beforehand when we heard that this is why Chrisley, who I like to call Mr. Chrysler, is filing that. This is from the report. Upon speaking to Lindsay, she stated there's an ongoing issue with her family threatening and harassing her. Lindsay stated she recently learned of a stepbrother that lives out of state claiming to have purchased a boo-boo-doo-doo-woo-woo tape involving Lindsay. Lindsay stated that her father and stepbrother wanted her to lie about an incident, and if she refused to do so, they were going to release the boo-boo woo-woo doo-doo. Some of the defense that KJ throws out here: to be actionable, alleged defamatory statements involving a public figure must be false and must be made with actual malice, which cannot be shown in this case. Essentially, you can sum up a giant part of the lawsuit with that statement. This part tells you how you can determine whether someone's a public figure from the amateurish eye, right? More commonly, those classified as public figures have thrust themselves into the forefront of particular public controversies in order to influence the resolution of the issue involved. In either event, they invite attention and comment. After making these arguments, KJ's lawyers go into a few of the paragraphs that Chrisley put in his lawsuit, and they say this. Number 23B, on information and belief, equates to basically without any evidence. 26, they claim to know Katie's mind without any evidence to support how they know. Basically, they're trying to read her mind. 27, on information and belief, again, without any evidence. 29 and 30, claiming to know Katie's mind without any evidence. And 36, claiming to know Katie's motives without any evidence to support it. Basically, there's a little more in the filing, but all it does is lead to her saying, because of these things, because of no evidence, because it doesn't fit the law. One thing I've noticed about her filing, there is a lot of case law. And I find that in these YouTube or internet lawsuits that we typically refer to as lol suits, because we kind of lol at them constantly if they're silly, if they're lol cow lol suits, right? You notice the filings that have a lot of case law and are professionally written seem to actually hold weight and hold water and are respected. Whereas, like the current lawsuit that's been thrown against Katie, other than this one, and Chrisley's, do not refer to a lot of case law.
No, we won't. No, we won't. This is because of you. It wasn't because of me.
Trying to call
I think it's
out
because of
to
you going home.
It's no secret that the anti-KJ community has been falling apart for a while now, but things are really hitting ahead with the Todd Chrisley lawsuit. And you can kind of tell people are trying to frame the Todd Chrisley suit as if it's some kind of like epic suit. And I don't see any of these channels actually being honest about what's there. So let me go ahead and try to verbalize it for you before I show you, some of the breakdown going on in this community. First off, Everything that was said in his lawsuit was said on Dr. Phil and then reported on all over the United States of America. Also, Katie's response is really good. I had this checked by several lawyers. Nate, the lawyer, went over it with us. It's a really good response. Katie isn't writing the lawsuit. She's not the one doing it. So when people go in and they're like, Katie's calling herself a journalist. Well, her lawyer did. I don't think Katie has the option to get in the way of what her lawyer's going to say for her defense. People are bringing up that in the Toddy case, Katie said she wasn't a journalist. Now she's saying she was. It's two different lawsuits. I mean, you'd think this would be pretty obvious, but it is good because we get to see the anti-KJ community try to frame everything any way they can against her while ignoring the fact that Todd isn't a hero. He's not a good guy. Yeah, he might be fun to watch him stomp around and act like an idiot on TV, but he's just a bad dude, okay? He just sucks. Well, that should lead us into a problem I have. You know, no shade. Though, let's take a quick look. We got drama and opinions right here, and this is what she had to say about the lawsuit that we just broke down.
Chrisley is a public figure and that there are provisions of the law that allows journalists to cover/make statements and share opinions on public figures. She said she was a nationally known journalist, and as such, this was a journalist versus public figure situation.
Again, if you would have kept reading, it says right here why the lawyer made that statement. I think it's crazy to try to say that Katie is somehow making these statements. I suppose you could make that argument, but really? Do we really think she is?
Her entire defense was centered around.
Okay, you got to hear this again because this just is not true, and I can prove it to you.
And as such, this was a journalist versus public figure situation. That's what her entire defense was centered around.
No, the case is not just centered around that. I suck at reading legal cases, but this case also is, I think, majorly centered on her lawyers destroying Chrisley's lawyers' claims by showing that they hold no evidence and they don't fit the law. I would think that when describing the individuals, because it happens at the beginning of the lawsuit, just because it's the beginning of the lawsuit, it doesn't mean that that's the entire thing that the case is centered around. Straight up, you can go through this yourself and see, just logically saying, not saying that it's not brought up throughout. I mean, it is. Logically, though, I think the fact that they didn't prove that there is evidence behind what they showed very much outweighs the argument of the public figure or the argument of whether Katie's a journalist.
This is because of you.
There's some dumb stuff going on, and I think it kind of holds the backbone for why the anti-KJ community is literally plummeting like a fucking meteor. We've got Amy Duggar throws without a crystal ball under a bus amid a bullying scandal, and I really don't care to go through this entire situation for you beforehand, but Katie said that Amy asked her to go with her somewhere or something, but what I want to show you is how, let's say, crazy the community has gotten. Listen to this insanity.
Fun of people. You said, well, I've had a bad day. I'm a Christian, but I'm not perfect. Yeah, and you also don't need to claim you're a mental health advocate, because the last thing this mental health community needs is motherfuckers out there like you making videos, judging people, and making fun of them.
The last thing that a community needs is people making videos and making fun of, like...
How dare you, Amy Duggar King? How dare you? And I hope you hear the anger and the frustration in my voice, because I'm passionate about people with mental health issues. Girl, how dare you?
Honestly, I don't mean to throw shade at Barbie, and Barbie's probably going to try to attack the living hell out of me for this, but I think that this is just played up. This is played up just like the rest of the anti-KJ community right now. Let's move on. We could listen to that go for a little while, because it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. Maybe we will while we're live. This is more of a backbone of this like situation going on with Katie.
But I know now that I need to distance myself from people, and that's okay. And I'm glad that people have pointed that out to me, and I will do that.
Now, if you didn't know what's going on, several anti-KJ channels decided to amass communities inside of Discord and through calls to action from their YouTube and Twitter to go to Amy Duggar King, not just on Twitter or a social media platform, but through her business, and slam it for one thing. Can you guess what that one thing is? Oh, yup. Her literally interacting with KJ. Her deciding to have an interaction with Katie. You know, we used to that used to be fucked up. And guess what? It still is. It's still wrong. It's still messed up.
I'd already edited half of my screenshots and things for the video, so I just thought I'd go ahead and roll with it. And if you guys go,
okay,
and
good.
This is what Katie had to say.
Okay, so the source of this channel, I don't know why it doesn't fit on my screen. There's the source, and this is basically them playing from KJP. And of course, while this community isn't concerned with being, you know, Katie's so obsessed with having her name out there. Katie's so obsessed with every click. But every time they put out a clip of someone else's content, you notice how they plaster their name across it? This community is a really hypocritical community. I just want to put that out there. And I know that that's not this channel. I know that's not. But anyway.
I was deceased. I was dying. I was laughing so hard. I couldn't stop laughing. I was like...
I have to listen to Katie now.
How did she do this?
How'd she do what? How'd she do what?
I was laughing so hard.
Oh, hell.
It really amazes me how nasty people are to her simply because she's related to the Duggars.
Well, that's number one. Number two, it's crazy how nasty people are to her because of, like, you two talking, but anyway.
And I was like, why are you so mad at her for literally being related to the Duggars? You know what I find interesting? So the person that she was impersonating, she's like a YouTuber. And
okay, so obviously she impersonated somebody. Let's go back to Barbie's video. That should tell us who.
Was a total misunderstanding. I've already apologized to the people who thought that the video was about. In no way was...
Well, you shouldn't have apologized to him if it was in no way about him, or if you weren't doing something to them. You shouldn't be apologizing to him. That's the most SJW kind of thing. They would even be demanding an apology if you were just joking. I don't even... See, this is why I don't go through this shit. It's so fucking dumb. Tracking down people's businesses.
Hella stressed. Like, bad. So, I go on Twitter, and I'm going through there, and I see that LB, Leslie Bass, that's what she used to be known as, uploaded a video talking about the Amy Duggar and Without a Crystal Ball situation. She was talking about the apologies both of them had, or both of them, you know, posted or whatever, and then whatever, threw each other under the bus.
Never apologize unless you really messed up. Unless you did something wrong. Don't apologize for jokes.
Y'all know what she didn't do? She didn't mention my name not one time.
Oh, wow. Boo. Fucking who? I'm outie. This is why I don't follow this bullshit.
Okay,
Thank you. Enough of that.
I can only deal with so much of her talking.
We have that in common.
Honestly. So
True.
anyway, she does that video. After that video comes out, Backwood Barbie goes off. She goes off on Twitter. She goes off.
I saw this happen, All Things Sassy, and I know it's probably a huge mistake for me to be watching All Things Sassy. She probably hates my guts, right, peeps? They all hate my guts, so why do I care? Like, let them hate my guts. That's kind of funny. Anyway, keep going, All Things Sassy. Me like
Off on YouTube. She keeps making video after video after video regarding this. But she made a video. She said she reached out to Amy on every single platform because she wanted to get in touch with her.
I'm starting to figure things out. Let me pause my recording and find a tweet for you. Oh, look, I found it. Yay. So, Menace tweeted this out after this was sent in to me and him. Make sure you're subscribed to Menace. You can find his content through his Twitter, which you'll find his Twitter through my Twitter at UniRockTV. Tag her and her business and ask why she chooses to side with WOACB, who's an evil bully who hurts and has hurt many people. See, here's my issue, Barbie. You are too. Now, I didn't think this before this last engagement, so I don't want you to think I'm making some, like, forever judgment on you. I'm not, you know, putting you down. Though, what is you encouraging people to go out and target Amy Duggar's business and social media accounts like you did? Well, how is that not a Katie move? And the issue I have is so much of the anti-KJ community is so sided now. that it's obvious that they are. They were really careful during the Toddy lawsuit, and ever since it went away, they've gone back to how they were before the Toddy lawsuit. Whereas if earlier in this video, when I'm going over the Chrisley lawsuit, we have people that can't even admit that Katie's filing is much better than Chrisley's just because they don't want to ever admit that anything could be good for her side. By the way, it's not good for her side to admit that her filing's better than Chrisley's. Just to put that out there. Though, to continue, she tag her, listen to this, tag her, meaning Amy Duggar King or whatever her name is, and call her ass out on every platform, her business too, and she says that she's serious. So don't say that you're not exactly like KJ. This is a KJ move. Maybe Sassy is going to give us a little more of an explanation here, and let's hear it and see if she does.
So much so, she threatened Amy that she was going to go to her business and hold signs and make sure everyone knew how dirty of a person she is.
Just because she talks to Katie? Well, it's no wonder that Amy Duggar cut off all contact with Katie. The anti-KJ community is... well, this portion of it, of course, that portion of the anti-KJ community is trying to force the response instead of allowing Amy to make up her own mind. When you put these pressures, the reason why it's wrong, you're putting a pressure on this person, fucking with their livelihood, their business, and other things, to where you may not even be getting their true opinion. Because of the pressure that you're putting on is going to force them. But for all we know, if she doesn't really feel that way, how do we know she didn't get a hold of her in the background and say, look, I just got to do this because these people hitting my business, trying to protest? This is that part of the anti-KJ community that I've been saying is on the downfall, that's going straight down. And it's because their channels are dying out. It's because they don't have other content. And when they do try to upload to other content, they've been pigeonholed, right? So to where they don't get the type of views they want. And I think it causes them to go back to this content in that negative kind of way. You get me?
And how she made fun of her mental health when, for the record, it was never about mental health.
And it's only being done because of the desperation.